Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. That's really good. I think that really what you mentioned there really ties into what I want to talk to you about, Nick, who is our next guest. Nick is the executive director of Isaacs, and Nick, I'm going to have you explain what the acronym for Isaacs is. But you're located at Case Western Reserve University, which is located in Ohio. Ohio has had a lot of news recently, from a little game over that happened in California recently to the NBA All-Star game that's going to be happening this weekend. But none of that matters. That's not exciting. That's not innovative. I want to do a couple things. Nick, first of all, give us an introduction, who you are, how did you get here, what is Isaacs? And then let's dive more into the deeper understanding of this collaboration with, when John mentioned in the beginning of here, we've had a bunch of SMIC centers. We're adding more, but the big focus is on all these different expertises of education and academia and integration are all getting together to collaborate. When I was out in North Carolina last week, I got a tour of their unwoven industrial research lab, and walking through the robotics lab and their machining and their training, and they have a bunch of additive manufacturing processes. There's all these different expertises. Why is that important, and what's the whole goal of what we're building here?
Thanks, Jake, for having convening this conversation, inviting us today. So my journey has been another electrical engineer on the group here. Spent most of my career in industry building products, web, mobile, cloud, connected device products in test and measurement, industrial automation, various industries, and consulting in those and building standards for those kinds of products in industries that were beginning to adopt them. I joined the university a number of years ago to help lead this institute, the Institute for Smart, Secure, and Connected Systems, or Isaacs, as you said for short. That's really focused on the industrial Internet of Things, smart manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, future manufacturing, Industry 4.0 being one thread of activity. There's a smart cities component, there's a connected healthcare component as well. And we work at both the education, research, and translational activities across those areas. So building new curriculum for our undergraduates and graduate students to teach them how to construct Internet of Things devices and systems, edge computing, AI at the edge, for instance. We work in the research space with the National Science Foundation, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, et cetera, to support our faculty in doing the research work they need to do to continue pushing the envelope. So the institute that I lead and co-lead a regional collaborative, one of the core areas that we're focused on is advanced manufacturing in Northeast Ohio, in the greater Cleveland area, tied into regional economic development activities. So, this theme that John brought up and you reiterated of the network of networks, sort of the fractal nature of the SESMI family here. We are at the university sort of the hub of the SMIC in Cleveland, but we would not be able to do this program without our partners, which includes our local MEP magnet. The MEP has been mentioned several times in the conversation, and they are critical for engaging with many of the small to medium-sized manufacturers. We have something like 10,000 SMMs in a 100-mile radius that tie into the automotive supply chain, aerospace, and others. And the MEP provides critical services as well as engagement with those organizations and companies, from training to implementation of projects, referrals, et cetera. We also have a regional smart manufacturing cluster that helps bring together various entities in the region from an economic development standpoint, thinking about all the different elements of the training, the capital needs, the innovation, the leadership needs, et cetera, to really move the region forward. And it's not dissimilar in many cases from, the example Sherry shared of, a Rust Belt city reinventing itself with a deep and long history in manufacturing. We also have other partners, Bennett AI, bringing some software expertise to the puzzle. Advanced Manufacturing International, bringing some additional connectivity and smarts. And then this regional collaborative I mentioned with Cleveland State University, we're philanthropically funded to work on these kinds of initiatives for the regional benefit at both the education, workforce, and research. So in terms of what we're going to be focusing on our SMIC, it's really about SMM adoption, right? Harkening back to what John mentioned, the democratizing of smart manufacturing technologies. So, our approach is around outreach. So how do we bring more manufacturers to the conversation? How do we support them from kind of an assessment standpoint of where they're at in their journey and what sort of tools may be appropriate? When we say tools, that's not necessarily technology. I think everyone on the call here knows technology is not the problem right now. It's often focus, it's a skills thing, it's a leadership thing, it's a capital and investment issue in many cases.
It's a culture. Thing. It's a culture.
Right? Moving from paper and clipboards to a data-driven dashboard, right, with better real-time insights. And the technology is useful at certain pieces of that journey, but there's a lot more involved. So we'll be doing assessments and then driving companies into certain conversations with certain partners, including our MEP, who may be able to meet them where they're at and help them implement a solution, and then create some lighthouses of innovation that will be useful for their peers, right? If you think about the innovator's dilemma and like crossing the chasm, right? We need lighthouses to show people what the path forward can look like in very different kinds of companies, right? As Ryan and other folks have mentioned, it's a different journey for a Fortune 500 company versus a 20-person machine shop versus a fabricator versus an injection molding company. So really working on that and then building some demo systems on campus. We're partnering with Lincoln Electric for one of those around some manual arc welding and trying to automate some of the integration of the arc delivered versus the arc, the engineering design criteria. So that's kind of the focus we have, and then partnering with our other SMICs in the constellation to steal the best programming we can for our region and the national good.